me are Rabinder from the in-house research team, and you have Osho Krishan, the senior analyst, technical and derivative research at Angel One, who's joining us on the technicals. Good afternoon to both you gentlemen. Osho, coming to you first. You've picked out UBL for us on the charts. Give us a sense of what kind of levels you're watching out for United Breweries. Last 1 month it's seen a tepid cut. 6 months it's not done all that much. Last 1 year too, just a 14-15% rise coming in on the stock. It's been a very slow move. Can we expect some change going ahead? Can we expect some more positivity for this stock on the charts?
Very good afternoon. Firstly, we're looking at the technical perspective of UBL. Then in the past few trading sessions, the counter has been hovering near the 200-day simple moving average, but plotting the ascending sloping trend line, then it is hovering at a very strong zone which is coinciding with the 200-day simple moving average. So I'm expecting the zone of 1980 to 2000 should be acting as a very strong support to this counter. And on the higher end, I am expecting a resilience or resistance that can be seen around the zone of 2100 and 2120. So this is the immediate resistance for the counter. The time it surpasses the zone of 2120 on a decisive manner, we can see a strong continuation or a strong momentum coming back in this counter for higher targets of nearly 2350 to 2400 in a short-term time frame. So this is, from a risk-reward point of view, the placement is at a very favorable position, and one can definitely try to accumulate it from a shorter-term duration.
Accumulate for short term is the call coming in on United Breweries from Osho. Let's move on. Talk about a buzzer in today's trading session, because LTIMindtree is the one we wish to highlight. That stock is up 3% amid a market that is largely falling today. And this is on the back of a news flow that the company yesterday announced a partnership with the Greek banking major Eurobank SA for a multi-year banking technology program aimed at enhancing customer experience, streamlining operations and developing innovative IT solutions for Eurobank and its subsidiaries. Now, as part of this collaboration, LTIMindtree and Eurobank inaugurated their new global delivery center yesterday in Pune, reinforcing LTIMindtree's commitment to driving banking technology innovation. And as part of this collaboration, they inaugurated the new center yesterday. A lot of responsibilities that will now fall on LTIMindtree. In terms of this collaboration, it's a very healthy collaboration. It's looking strong because it's a multi-year deal going ahead. And on the back of that, this stock is up, in fact, more than 3% now, 3.2% gains coming in on LTIMindtree, a stock that's holding up to some good gains amid a market that is largely falling. But next up, let's talk about Jubilant Food. Osho, coming to you. Let's see what the charts of this stock have done in the last 6 months. It's not done all that much. Last 1 year, it's been a decent amount of gain coming in. Tell us what the outlook is on the charts going ahead.
See, overall, this counter is again having a kind of a positive momentum, and in such kind of scenario, when the counter is having a very decent or bullish momentum, that is having a comparatively very strong movement in the coming period. So I expect that Jubilant Food, currently hovering near the cluster of short-term exponential moving average, but on the higher end, it is having a very strong resistance around the zone of 700, while on the lower end, 640 is a very strong support zone. So it is expected to hover within the zone of 640 to 700, but the time we see a decisive breakthrough above 700, then there will be two developments. One, it will be having a strong psychological breakout. Second, we can witness a sloping trendline breakout on the daily time frame. So from there onwards, one can definitely expect a very strong target of nearly 780 to 800 kind of a zone in a very short-term time frame.
That's the outlook on the technicals. Remember, even in the entire QSR space, Jubilant is the one that has done decently well compared to its peers in Q3. So looking good from that perspective as well. But Rabinder, coming to you, of course, the stock of the day has to be ABB India. Was higher by almost 3%. Now it's trading with cuts of 6%. Help us understand what has led to this reversal, because the numbers have been really good for ABB for its Q4 calendar year CY24.
Well, ABB Q4 number was good, but the company's revenue saw an uptick of 22% year-on-year basis, and net profit also saw a good uptick from 56% from 339 crore to 528 crore, and margin also saw a good uptick from 15.1% to 19.5%, and the company's total order was down by 14% due to impact of one-time large order in the same period. And also there are management commentary coming in where the management says that the current PAT margins stand at 15.8%. 8%, and the management effort is to keep it between 12 to 15% in the medium term as the market stabilize. And also there are brokerage note coming on ABB India, where UBS has maintained a neutral rating with target price of rupees 8,450, where they say that the company's profit and loss was better as compared to its peers Siemens and CG Power, but the company clearly fell behind in securing new orders, and the stock is down by 6% from day's high.
That's the take coming in on ABB India. That's the reason why the stock is tanking in today's trading session. Osho, coming to you, Sundaram Finance is something that you've picked out from the charts. We've seen some consolidation over the last 1 year. Last 6 months, this stock seems to have picked up some steam, but not much is happening on that front as well. What's the outlook when you take a look at this stock on the charts going ahead?
See, on the technical front, firstly, we have seen that the financial space is looking very positive. Overall, most of the financial companies are outperforming the market. So Sundaram Finance, belonging from the same sector, it is currently hovering around the cluster, above the cluster of its simple moving averages and the short-term moving averages as well. But on the technical front, it is having a symmetrical triangle formation, and I am expecting that the zone of 4700 will be the first breakout zone for the counter. The time it surpasses or the time it moves on a decisive manner, on a closing manner above the zone of 4700, then from there onwards we can see a very strong momentum coming in this counter as well. Immediate target that I am expecting is nearly 5100 to 5150 kind of a zone. But from a medium term perspective, one can even have a potential higher targets as well of 5500 to 5600 from a medium term perspective. So overall technical setup is very positive for this count.
Okay, so that stock is looking good. Let's also address the flash on the bottom of the screen. Star Cement is in focus. They've just commissioned a 7 megawatt AQC boiler for waste heat, that plant, the waste heat plant, and now the company has 19 megawatts of operational WHRS capacity. That's a positive news flow coming in for Star Cement. That stock is seeing quite the sharp uptick coming in after this news flow was just broken, and 3% uptick coming in on Star Cement, looking healthy for that stock today as well. But let's move on to another buzzer in today's trade, and that's Tech Mahindra on the back of two reasons. First up, it's a brokerage note coming in from CLSA. It's a rather bullish one, but they've maintained an outperform rating with a target price of 2,030 rupees per share, which is roughly a 30% upside to where the stock is right now. They've reiterated this as their top pick in the large cap IT space. They're also confident that the company will achieve its FY27 targets of 15% EBIT margin, and revenue growth above the peer average is something that will continue to be the case going ahead as well. They also believe that the current valuation gap over the larger peers like the likes of TCS, Infosys and HCL will narrow further over the next 1 or 2 years. Execution continues to be a positive surprise for this company, and that's what CLSA is liking so much about the stock. Hence, they've maintained an outperform target price of 2030. The other news flow when it comes to this company is that they have announced a plan of merger between its two US-based subsidiaries, Tech Mahindra Cerium Systems with Tech Mahindra Americas Inc. And the merger is subject to regulatory approvals in the country of incorporation. The appointment date of the merger is 20th of this month. This is what they've said in a regulatory filing. Two positive news flows coming in. The stock is up almost 2% as we speak. But Osho, this is a stock that you've picked out on the charts as well, Tech Mahindra. Tell us what makes this stock interesting on the charts.
See, firstly, as you mentioned that there has been a very positive development and news that has been flowing in this counter. But from a technical perspective, this counter has been hovering around the zone of 1650 to 1700 from past 6 weeks. And recently it is expected, or the volumes have started gaining up, and even the short-term technical parameters are starting signaling a positive crossover. So that means from here onwards, there can be a strong momentum that can be seen in this counter. I am having a target of nearly 1740 for a very short-term perspective, for a positional kind of a target. But on the higher end, the counter is expected to retouch the highs of 1800, 1820 in the near term. So from here onwards, one can definitely expect a decent movement in the short term or maybe a positional basis in TechM. And once it crosses the zone of 1800, then we can even see a further upside in the coming period. But for now, 1740 is the first target, followed by 1800 kind of a zone.
Okay, looking very stock that you've picked out for us on the charts. Give us a sense of what you're making of this entire chemical space, because that's seen its fair share of action recently. And Naveen Florine, what is the outlook looking like on the technicals for this stock?
See, overall from the space, there has been a stock selective approach that is being seen in the counter, because majority of the counters, it's not that the whole sector is performing very well. So Navin Fluorine on the technical front have seen a very strong movement from the zone of nearly 3200, and from there onwards there has been a formation of higher highs, higher lows on this counter. Recently, we have seen a very strong bullish gap formation in this counter, and in the past four trading session, there has been a kind of a gap fulfillment also on the technical front. So I'm expecting that once the counter have started taking a kind of a support near the zone of 4000, which also coincides with 20-day exponential moving average. So from here onwards, there is a possibility for continuation of the higher trend. So for now, 3950 to 4000 should be acting as a very strong support for the counter. While on the higher end, I am expecting a immediate target near the zone of 4250 to 4300. And once there will be any decisive breach above the zone of 4300, then another 300 points of movement can be seen in the coming periods.
Okay, so that's the outlook on the charts for Navin Fluorine. Ravinder, coming to you, Persistent Systems is the stock that you've picked out in today's trading session. It's on the back of a brokerage note, I believe. Tell us more about it.
Yes, JP Morgan has come out with a note on Persistent System where they have maintained their overweight rating with target price of rupees 7,200, where they say that the JP Morgan see a 30% upside from the current level, and they recommend buying on this dip considering it's a high quality growth compounder, and the company is expected to achieve 21% revenue CAGR and 29% PAT CAGR over FY25 to 27, and the record high deal wins suggest high teens revenue growth in FY26, and the Persistence has also set a new revenue target of $5 billion by FY35, which imply a strong 26% CAGR between FY27 to 31, and additionally margin expansion is likely due to cost reduction in subcontracting and improve operating leverage, and on back of this brokerage note, stock is up by more than 3%.
Okay, so that's the reason why, in fact, 4% gain coming in on Persistent Systems. That stock is looking good. And remember, it's also fueling the entire Nifty IT index, which is the biggest sectoral gainer in today's trade, or rather the only one that's in the green. But let's move on from that. And Osho, you've picked out Power Grid for us on the charts. Last 6 months, it's seen deep cuts of more than 20%. Last 1 year also, it's been lower in single digits. Tell us, what's the outlook going ahead? Are you spotting a reversal now in terms of the gains that it could provide to investors?
Yes, definitely, because this counter have been into a very strong corrective phase from the zone of nearly 340 and is now hovering around the zone of 260 odd level. So from the technical parameters, this counter has been into a very strong oversold territory. But the formation of the last 4 candles, there is a possibility of reversal in this counter, because from the oversold territory, we are witnessing a positive crossover in this counter, which even coincides with a very strong support that was seen in the month of April 24. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, there is a possibility for this counter to have a decent traction on the buying front. On the higher end, again, I am not very much aggressive until it breaches the sloping trendline breakout, which is approximately around the zone of 275 to 280. But for now, 275 and 80 can be seen as a short-term trader. One can definitely try to utilize this gain in the coming period. And once it breaches the zone of 280 on a decisive manner, then we can see a confirmation on the trend reversal for a higher potential target of nearly 315 from a short-term time duration.
Okay, so that's the take on Power Grid. Better days ahead is what Osho believes. Ravinder, coming to you, Max Healthcare once again in focus on the back of a big brokerage upgrade coming in. Tell us more about it.
Yes, UBS has come out with a note on Max Healthcare where they have upgraded the stock to buy and hiked target price to rupees 1200 from 610. They say that the stock is declined 13% in past 2 weeks, and which present an attractive entry opportunity, and the market is undervaluing Max strong growth visibility in bed additions and a faster break even of new hospitals. Key building blocks are in place for earning acceleration, and UBS expect a Max to generate a 8,000 crore in operating cash flow between FY25 to 28, and the value of the business is 30 times between FY27 EV to EBITDA, and the EBITDA CAGR is projected at a 28% growth from FY25 to 28 compared to 20% from FY22 to 25.
Okay, so that's the reason why Max Healthcare is in focus on the back of that UBS upgrade coming in. Osho, coming to you, SBI Life is the stock that you've picked out for us on the charts. Last 1 year, absolutely flat moves coming in. Last 6 months is given a negative return. Are you spotting some better days on the charts, or do you believe that this correction that the stock is seeing will continue for some more time?
See, overall, this counter has seen a steep correction from the zone of nearly 1950 towards 1400, 1350 kind of a zone. But looking at the historical data, this counter has seen a very strong support near the zone of 1400, which started from the month of November 23 and stayed till June 24 until we have seen a very strong momentum coming in this counter. So I'm expecting that the zone of 1400 and 1380 should be seen as a very strong support for the counter, and one should definitely try to accumulate this counter in a staggered manner, because in the coming period there is a possibility for a strong reversal. On the technical parameters, we are in the formation of cup and handle pattern formation. It's not a thorough breakout that has been seen, but it is in a formation of making a cup and handle pattern on the parameters. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, yes, there is a very strong possibility for this counter to have a very strong reversal, and on the higher end, I'm expecting an immediate target of nearly 1600, followed by even 1750 to 1800 kind of a target.
Okay, lofty targets set by Osho for SBI Life, looking good on the charts. But on that note, we'll wrap it up on this edition of Market Fatafat. Ravinder and Osho, thank you so much for joining us. And viewers, that's a goodbye from